All right, joining me now, former Victorian Liberal Party President Michael Kroger. Michael, Kevin Hogan admitted today that the coalition breakup was not a unanimous vote within the Nationals. Take a look.
Was the decision unanimous in the party room?
It wasn't unanimous, but it was quite conclusive. And again, it's a good point, Kenny. I didn't make this decision. David Littleproud didn't make this decision. Bridget McKenzie didn't make this decision. The Nationals Federal Party Room made this decision.
Now, of course, so the party room made the decision, so even if you're against it, it doesn't matter. But clearly there were people within the Nats who thought it would be best to stick with the coalition. Did the Nationals make the wrong decision?
Well, they certainly did, Caleb. This is not helpful to the National Party. It's not helpful to the Liberal Party. It certainly helps Albanese. One of the many issues going forward, if this coalition doesn't get back together, you split the two parties. There's no cohesion. It's hard to go to an election with the parties separate. What happens, for example, to the joint Senate ticket in Victoria? I mean, Bridget McKenzie is the number 2 on the joint Senate ticket. We won, Liberals 1, Nationals 2, Liberals 3. Now, we won 2 spots last time, but at the next election, Bridget McKenzie, she's going to run on her own, not part of the coalition ticket? I think that would make it very hard for her to win in Victoria. So the consequences of running separately are potentially disastrous for both the Liberal Party and the National Party. And as John Howard says, he's right as always, the sooner they get back together, the better. And it's good to see Darren Chester, the former National Party minister, saying again tonight it's better they get back together sooner or later, sooner if possible.
Graham Richardson joins us now. Richo, Albo, he must be so happy to see this going on. Like I said before, when I saw him today talking to the media, he seemed to be more relaxed and happy and confident than I saw him at any point during his first term.
Well, I think he's got every right to be, hasn't he, at the moment? I mean, he's sitting there, he doesn't have to do anything. He just watches the Liberals and Nationals destroy themselves. He doesn't have to do a thing. So I think Albo's in a perfect position at the moment because all he has to do is be a spectator. He doesn't have to get down on the ground and fight. He doesn't have to say anything that's tough and hard and all the rest of it. He can just let the Liberals and Nationals do it to each other.
Speaking of the breakup, this was a particularly petty part of it all, I think, today. The new Deputy Opposition Leader, Ted O'Brien, emphasis is on may, have skipped out on a Today Show interview after he discovered he'd be on with National Senator Matt Canavan, and Karl Stefanovic, as you can imagine, wasn't too happy.
We asked Deputy Liberal Leader Ted O'Brien on the show last night and he agreed. This morning, out of courtesy, we told him Matt Canavan was coming on too. All seemed okay. And then 20 minutes ago, his team rang saying he won't come on with Canavan. I mean, you can't make it up. It's like MAFS, the Canberra edition. Matt Canavan is in the house though. Matty, good morning to you. Nice to see you this morning.
Morning, Carl. How are you, mate?
How did you sleep last night?
Oh, not bad, mate.
God, MAFS, the Canberra edition, how would it rate? But Ted O'Brien, for his part, denies that he cancelled.
I was told this morning that the session won't proceed. I think they were looking at me being on, and then it was Anastasia Palaszczuk, then it was Matt Canavan. I'd certainly queried saying, should it be Kevin Hogan, given he's the deputy leader? But there was no cancellation, and I can't think of any sort of interview I've ever cancelled. Matt and I spoke a few days ago, right? We're mates, we're both from Queensland, we've always been friends.
Michael, I don't know what actually happened here. I mean, the only people who actually know were those who were involved. But regardless, it wasn't a great look.
Well, does it really matter? I mean, Ted thought it wasn't going ahead. I don't think this is an issue at all of any substance to anybody. These things happen from time to time. We all book in interviews and they get cancelled at the last minute on occasions. So, I rate this as 0 on the register of things that are important, mate, to be honest.
Well, it's probably not important in the grand scheme of things, but, Rich, I suppose it's just another example of where it looks like things are going wrong, because perception is reality. Even if this is not the truth, that is the message that was put across this morning, that Ted O'Brien didn't want to be there. And a lot of people watching that would have had that impression.
Well, that's the only impression you can get. I think that it's lamentable that we'd be at this point. We don't need to be. I can't understand what the problem is between him and Canavan, if there is one. Canavan's one of my good friends. I think he's a terrific fellow. So if Ted's having trouble with him, then I might intervene and so I can help get the two of them together.
Well, we've talked enough about we've talked enough about the losers. Let's talk about the winners now, shall we? The architect of Labor's historic win, which is of course the ALP National Secretary Paul Erickson. As I showed earlier, he gave a rather smug lecture to the coalition at today's National Press Club, and fair enough, he has the runs on the board. He's earned that right. But he lauded Labor's embrace of renewable energy as integral to their success. Have a look.
The coalition needs to accept the lessons from the last two federal elections and their last two defeats if they want to be competitive again. And I think that starts with facing up to the reality of climate change and to the energy transition that the country needs to make.
Michael, I described Erickson before as a bit cocky today. I think that's accurate. And I think the ALP would want to be careful about getting too cocky, because if they seriously think that energy, renewable energy, was one of the things that delivered them that thumping majority, they've got rocks in their heads.
They need to have one of those True Believers dinners. Remember, was it after the 93 election, Richo, that they had that True Believers dinner where Gareth Evans was dancing around and anyway, no one paid for the dinner afterwards.
I think we all remember it.
Putting that aside.
For various reasons.
Yeah, you remember it? Yeah, no one paid, mate. You all thought you were going free. Look, the bottom line is this. Winners write their own history. Erickson was doing absolutely the right thing by trying to tell people why they won the election. Half of what he said was nonsense, half was probably true. I mean, if what he was saying was true on that issue, then how does he explain that for a year and a half up to February this year, Peter Dutton was 52-48 in front of the polls, 51-49. For 18 months, people thought Dutton was going to win. Now, what happened was something happened in the last 8 weeks, and the only person that got close to it today in a rather fawning performance by the Canberra Press Gallery was that Claire Armstrong, I think it's from the Daily Telegraph in New South Wales, who asked him about the negative campaign. Well, what happened in the 8 weeks was two things. One, it showed the Liberal national parties didn't have a sufficient depth of policy offering. We acknowledge that. But secondly, Labor ran a dirty negative campaign against Peter Dutton personally, which they've been doing for years, very successfully. And they ran a disgraceful campaign that Peter Dutton was going to slash and burn Medicare, close down urgent care clinics, close hospitals, and then they lied about nuclear. That's what happened in the last 8 weeks. So if what Erickson was saying about the grandiose, move to renewables, it hadn't dawned on the electorate between the 22 election and February this year, mate.
And you're right, Michael. Claire Armstrong did ask him about that negative campaign and specifically about Mediscare. And Richo, Paul Erickson basically said, we will do Mediscare again because we know and think that it works.
Well, it does. There's no question that it works. Every time we raise it, I think we win votes. So I have no doubt it will be used again and again and again. I think if John Howard had just embraced that when the Medicare thing was beginning, then I think the Libs would have a lot less strife. But that was one mistake he made, and of course I'm not someone who bags Howard. I think Howard was a very good Prime Minister, but he got that wrong.
Yeah, well, integrity in politics, who'd care about that? Now, Elon Musk told a business forum in Qatar that he's taking a step back from political donations.
In terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason. It's
a rapid change in approach from one of the founding members, of course, of Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Michael, A, do we need Elon Musk or people like Elon Musk in politics? But B, has he just simply had enough? I mean, he's seen what's happened to his businesses.
You certainly need people like him who have got courage and who are fearless. But the problem is that prominent business people being involved in politics doesn't work. Because there's too many easy ways to damage their businesses through boycotts, and we've seen what's happened in America with these Tesla dealerships being ransacked and firebombed and cars being, set alight. So he's got commercial interests to look after, and he should go back and look after those. You know, he's done some excellent work on Doge. I mean, all that federal government spending in America are out of control. But it's, you know, it's part of the age-old adage, business and politics don't mix, and politics is for politicians, and, you know, businesses for business people, because they're entirely different professions, and they don't mix well together, mate.
Are you sad to see him shut up, Richo?
Am I sad to... So I missed that.
Are you sad to see him shut up, not talk anymore, leave politics?
No. I think I can probably live with it. I think... you know, he's a fascinating character, and I love having fascinating characters in politics because it gives us all something to talk about and write about, etc. The guy absolutely fascinates me. I'd love to meet him, but as far as I'm concerned, mate, whether he gets up and does more or does less will matter little to any of us.
Michael, we've only got a minute, but quickly before we go, that the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy has been scathing of Israel's actions around Gaza, sending aid in or not sending aid in, is what he would say. He has said we must call this what it is. It is extremism, it is dangerous, it is repellent, it is monstrous, and I condemn it in the strongest possible terms. Is the reality not, though, that if you send the aid in as he wants to, Hamas will just take it anyway? What's the point?
Yeah, it's so easy to play to your constituency. There are more Muslim voters in Britain than there are Jews. That's true throughout the world. Politicians are not immune to domestic pressure. The easiest thing, the most morally proper thing for him to do would be to say, hang on, if Hamas had laid down their weapons straight after October 7, there'd be, you know, thousands of Palestinians alive. If Hamas hadn't used innocent Palestinians as human shield, they'd be alive. So the condemnation should be of Hamas and their supporters and Iran. Israel's an easy target, but what does he think Israel should do? What does he think they should do? How does he think they should deal with terrorists on Israel's doorstep? Nothing. He's got nothing to say about that. Israel's always an easy target, and you know, a poor performance by their foreign minister, to be quite frank, mate.
And an interesting way to talk to an ally too. Mr. Kroger, Mr. Richardson, pleasure to have you both as always.